Welcome to Faith on Film, a program designed to keep you aware and informed on everything that's happening in the world of faith and family entertainment. Now, as promised last week, we are here today once again with Holly McClure. Holly, how you doing?
Hey, hi Isaac. I'm happy to be with you, and I'm here in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Guthrie, Oklahoma. I thought, what's Guthrie? What about Guthrie? And then I went downtown and saw these plaques where this is where, if anyone saw the movie Far and Away with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman about the Oklahoma land rush, well, this is the town where it happened. This was the first city hall, the first town hall. This is where they lined up to get their free land. So it was kind of cool to have seen the movie, of course, and then history, but to put the two together. So a kind of a location, connection there. I like that.
But now it's going to be famous because of the Reagan movie, isn't it?
People all over this town have been talking. First of all, they did a really cool Reagan bus. So it's got Dennis Quaid, who stars as Ronald Reagan. Dennis Quaid's face on there with a cowboy hat like Reagan had. And they've had the bus all over town. So I've gone to little stores and shops and people are like, oh, I saw the bus. I saw the bus. And they've been filming at the a couple of different churches downtown, even a Masonic kind of beyond a lodge. It's like a huge building. It looks like a government building. So they're making it look like Washington, but it's, with the columns and all that. Been fun. It's been fun.
Well, how cool. Well, listen, people by now really, you've been on my show so much that people by now know who you are, but let me give you at least just a short little proper introduction, as I always think of Paul Crouch when he used to say that. Holly McClure has had a multimedia career that spans over 2 decades in the entertainment industry. Her background as a film and television producer, creative director, creative writer, filmographer, author, and family film critic established her expertise in the family and faith-based entertainment industry. Okay, now that's the official welcome for you.
Well, and I have to say, I really like your set, Isaac. What a cool set.
It's like it. It's awesome. I one of the things about when I moved here to Texas was I said, God, I need a place where I can at least have an area for my set. And right now you can only see a little bit of it, but there's a whole really nice area around here that maybe I can edit a little bit of shooting around it so people can see it.
There you go. I like it. I like it a lot. Fun.
Well, listen, if you ever come here to my area, my neck of the woods, we can do the show right from here. So we'll be sitting next to each other instead of wherever you're at right now, which apparently is a hotel room.
A hotel room. My glamorous hotel room.
Your glamorous hotel room.
I'm glad we're not going to pan around and show you the rest of the room because I wouldn't want to do that. But yeah, my glamorous hotel room. I've been here for a week. I came in to do EPK, what's called EPK. People say, what's an EPK? EPK is an electronic press kit. So every movie shoots interviews with stars of the movie, producers, directors, and gets their opinion. So for instance, when you're watching an Entertainment Tonight, or if you're watching Access Hollywood, and they're saying, hey, the movie Ronald Reagan's coming out Reagan is coming out this week. We had a chance to interview Dennis, and then they show Dennis in what looks like a hotel room up on the set.
Hello.
I had that blocked. When they show that, then sorry, I can't block it. Anyway, then that's the person interviewed, and then that's what they're doing. They're basically interviewed on an EPK. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to interview Dennis Quaid.
I was going to say, Dennis. Who Dennis? Dennis the Menace? What Dennis? Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid stars as Reagan, and then also Jennifer O'Neill is in it, and David Henry, Wizards of Waverly Place. If any of them, I'm sure they were teens and now they're in their 20s or whatever, 30s, watched Wizards of Waverly Place. Well, he was the star on that. He's also been in many, many movies. He plays the younger Reagan. And of course, he's 30-something and he's playing, 20-something, but he is a young face, youthful face. David Henry is remember the movie Little Boy? I know you like that, Isaac. You like that movie Little Boy about the airplane and the boy in World War II?
Yep.
Yes, he was in that. Remember when we did the promotion for that? He was in that movie. I know you remember when you see him, you'll go, oh, yeah. So he's been around for a while. There's a huge cast. Mina Servino, Penelope Ann Miller plays Nancy Reagan. Nina plays Jane Wyman, the first wife. John Voight is in it. And so there's some big names. Now, I'm not interviewing all those people. I've got a phone, you got a dog.
I do. The dog just decided, hey, I want to be on the show.
This is live TV, guys. Or,
I love
this is what we're doing. And so there's a huge cast, but all of the cast is not here because this is in Oklahoma, which is to replicate Illinois, where Reagan was raised, Elgin, Illinois. And so it's replicating that. So it's the younger years of Reagan. So I'll be doing some other interviews with some of these other people probably in September as the film winds down. Then they'll do post. And then it should come out, I think, next summer or next fall.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking about doing it in February during Presidents, but I don't know if they feel that they'll have all the posts done at that point. So he's going to try to do it, at the optimum time. Mark Joseph,
So
Mark.
it takes a long time to put a movie together, doesn't it?
It does. Not only do they have to put the story together with an editor, but they have to do, actors are called in to, voice over things where the microphone didn't get it or they need to deliver a different line. They have to do sound. They have to do color correcting. There's a lot that needs to be done in different phases and departments before it's the point where it can be released. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. People don't realize sometimes how movies produce. They think, oh, you just go shoot a movie and it's out the next day. But anyway, you know what? Let's take a quick break right now. And in the meantime, during that break, I'll see if I can give that dog away. No. I'm not going to give the dog away. Now I'm going to get letters. Now I'm going to get letters from people saying how mean you are to your dog. Promise, I won't give it away. I'll probably just put it outside for a little while, right?
Okay.
Folks, don't go away. We're going to be right back.
Ever wanted to binge watch family-friendly TV without all of the commercials? Well, as a mother of 2 young children, it's vital that I have a platform I can trust. And 24 Flicks is where I find incredible movies, shows, comedy for me and for my children as well. And for only $3.99 a month, it's a no-brainer for us. You can join other moms like me by going to 24flicks.com and get your 7-day free trial.
Got a postcard from the grandkids. They went to the Ark.
Yeah. What does it say?
Well, Annie says they had a blast and that it's really, really big.
Everything looks big to a 6-year-old.
Well, Hudson says it's even bigger than the castle.
Can't be that big. Can it? Go ahead. Think bigger.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are here with Holly McClure. She's been telling us a little bit about the movie Reagan. But you know what? Let's get into some more stuff here, Holly. Find out what's happening in Hollywood. Now, I know that last week we talked about the movie Blue Miracle, which, it seemed like Hollywood is kind of getting into the family genre, if you will. Is that what's happening? I mean, is Hollywood realizing, hey, maybe there's something here to the whole family genre of films instead of some of the stuff we've been doing?
They definitely are. And I definitely want to respond to that question. But first, before I leave the Reagan thing, I want to tell you an interesting story before we leave, okay? Everyone loves Pat Boone, right? Who doesn't know about Pat Boone? If you don't know about Pat Boone, you've been living under a rock, because that man is still on commercials for pain reliever, and he's out there. He's been, we grew up with Pat Boone. The interesting thing is he is in this movie. He doesn't play himself. He plays George Otis. Remember Reverend George Otis? He would pray, and he would get the charismatic shakes when he would pray. Pat Boone plays George Otis, who was with younger Pat Boone and Ronald Reagan at a dinner behind on a patio, and they said, "Can we pray for you?" before he ever got into the politics. And so Pat is there with a younger actor that's playing Pat. I mean, how many times does that happen? Where you're with your actor who's playing your younger self. He's playing George Otis. They say a prayer for Reagan, and in the prayer he says, "You are going to live at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue." He goes, "I see it. You're going to be there. God says you'll be there." He gives him that prophetic word. The movie has that in it, and they show Nancy kind of looking at Ronald like, "Okay, what's this?" You know, kind of, because he's kind of shaking when he's delivering it. And then he finishes, and they're like, "Okay, we had a great evening." But they purposely show that God spoke to Reagan and gave him that word that he would be president long before he ran for president. And I just want everyone to know that. That's a little side story that's in the movie, but, you know, a lot of people don't know that.
So Reagan, the movie, is not necessarily what some people would call a Christian movie, but it certainly has faith element in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not being touted as a Christian film, and it's really not even a political film. It really is about Ronald Reagan's life. It covers his youth when he started off as a young boy in Illinois, and it covers when he goes to Hollywood and becomes a bigger star, but not a great star. In fact, it shows where his career took a couple of hits, and he was depressed and almost giving up on acting because he didn't feel like he was, you know, making it anymore. In fact, his wife, Jane Wyman, at the time, was a bigger star than he was, and he was taking care of kids while she was on the movie set. And they showed that the struggles he went through, and then his marriage dissolving, and then he, you know, marrying Nancy, and then how she really supported him. And then, of course, it shows all through Hollywood and through Tear Down This Wall, his political career, the assassination attempt. Wow. We know the story, if you know the story of Reagan. It really does just cover that. Yes, there's some politics in it, but it's not heavy politics. You don't feel like it's heavy right. You feel like it's just telling the story of Ronald Reagan, which I enjoyed. Got to say, I've seen the movie right now so far. Got a tear at the end. You know what happens, but the way that they conclude it is so sweet. And it just made me long for a president who loves this country, who loves America, who loves the people, which I don't feel we have, but anyway.
I was always very fond of Reagan as president.
Yes.
He was amazing.
And by the way, okay, another side note. Did you know that Pat Boone is the great, 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 great grandson of Daniel Boone?
No.
He is. He's the great, 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 it's 1, 2, 3, 4 grandson of Daniel Boone. I never even knew that before.
I didn't either.
I just thought that was interesting. So anyway, another fun fact to know.
We just honored Pat, by the way, at the ICVM Crown Awards as the Legacy Award, and I'm telling you, it was so terrific. The speech that he gave, it was just amazing. Finding out his life story, it was really. I mean, he's got quite a life.
When he goes, I feel like it's going to really be hard to lose him, because he really has. He's one of the greats. I mean, he's been around since the beginning. I don't know. I think it'll be really hard to have him go transition. But we know we'll see him.
I agree, and I've worked with him several times, and he's just a fantastic guy.
Right. You know, you were talking about Hollywood. I think a good example, Isaac, for what you're talking about are more movies, more films being made. Look at Blue Miracle did, and I love how you said in retrospect that it's now a Green Miracle. Which, by the way, Dennis Quaid is on this movie, right? He was in that movie, right? His publicist was here, and I said, "Hey, I heard where people are sending money in to this orphanage because they've seen the movie." He goes, "Yeah." I said, I was talking with Isaac Hernandez the other day. I said, we were doing an interview, and he said, "It's like a Green Miracle." And he goes, "Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it is a green." It gives, they are raising now more money than they made on the winning the competition now. It's amazing. So it's a kind of fun fact to know. But I think the thing that shows the shift, especially, is that little new thing that came about called The Chosen. You know, and it's that, again, another little engine that could. And Hollywood pays attention to those little engines that could, because they think, oh, that's never going to go anywhere. But as we know, Dallas Jenkins took an idea. You know, he had started off with one little Christmas story about Jesus, and it was so popular and took off, and he collaborated with some other people, and they did fundraising, and it's a miraculous story. I think they're going to do 7 seasons now of The Chosen, season 2. But Hollywood pays attention to that. They pay attention to the faith audience that's supporting that, and it's completely separate from the studio. So no studio can take credit for it. Yeah. You know, it's strictly the audience.
Well, you know, and that's one of the things I was wondering about, because on the one hand, there was a gentleman that came and spoke at one of the events I was at one time, and he said Hollywood doesn't have an agenda. They just they're after whatever makes money, which didn't make sense to me, because on the other hand, movie guide shows how much Faith and Family, or well, not Faith, let's call it family movies make, and how much more they make than the movies Hollywood was making. So it was like, okay, well, which one of you are right? But maybe they just weren't paying attention before, and now they are. They're paying attention that these family, type movies and family content actually does do a lot better.
Well, Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, that was supposed to be released last year during COVID and it got stopped. So they just released it for this summer and that's done really well. That's Peter Rabbit 2. Space Jam 2 is back and that's going to be opening up next week. Again, that's Warner Brothers, so it's the bigger studios. In the summer, studios focus traditionally on what they call tent movies. They're tent poles. Okay. The tent poles are the Marvel movies, the big movies that are going to hold the audience, and then they will bring in all the audience, and then they put their other small films out there. They may make it, they may not, but those tent movies, carry through. Well, as you know, this has been a very different year and a very different summer. Some, movie theaters aren't even open. Some have opened up to smaller, and they're getting spacing and stuff. So it's been interesting to see the return to the theater. But what they did realize was the F9, Fast and Furious 9 movie, biggest box office ever of all the Fast and Furious. And what it proved to Hollywood was people want to go back to the theater. That's what it proved, is people want to go back to the theater. They're tired of sitting at home. They've seen everything on Netflix. They've been watched TV. They can't binge anymore. They want to get out and have that movie theater experience. So I think we're also seeing the return of that, which should be hopeful for a lot of films.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take another break and then we'll come back and just continue this conversation. We might have to have a second show. I don't know. It just seems like there's so much to talk about, all right?
Okay.
Folks, don't go away. We're going to be right back.
%80 of Americans want more family-friendly content. 80%. So what's the solution? 24 Flicks on Demand. That's right. 24 Flicks provides unlimited, safe, family-friendly content without profanity, nudity, sexual content, and substance abuse. You can enjoy movies, TV series, comedy, sports, and so much more. Simply go to 24flix.com. 24 Flicks, it's your home for unlimited, family-friendly, on-demand videos.
Dad? This is a lot of work. It might take us the entire weekend.
You think this is rough? Try building one of the most massive wooden ships in history without modern tools.
Go ahead. Think bigger.
YBL is an experience like none other. Whether you are thinking about a call into leadership and ministry or something else.
I would do it again in a heartbeat. I learned a lot about having self-confidence in myself as a leader. Even though we're teenagers, we still have the power and the capacity to change the world.
God can do amazing things in a very short amount of time. The material that we studied, the activities that we did really helped us to see that.
Going to YBL and hearing from professors that are my future professors and professors now, coming to Asbury is really like a continuation of what Youth Becoming Leaders was.
It was really important having a group of people my age who wanted to do what I wanted to do. We kind of end up as a family, which is the best thing I think about YBL.
Welcome back to Faith on Film. We are here with Holly McClure talking all about movies. Holly, so now I know that you've got a list of a whole lot of movies that are coming out. Are theaters opening up again? I mean, is the movie industry kind of gearing up once again?
They really are. Like I mentioned, F9 Fast and Furious did a phenomenal. That was the first one that proved the box office people want to go back to theater. Right. Also, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, a Marvel film. They brought her character back. Huge box office, has done so well. I think people are longing. They still love Marvel, and knowing that it's kind of dying out and or transitioning because those main characters are not doing it. I think people have really, gravitated to that as well. So those are two big movies that have proved people are going to the theaters. Boss Baby's coming out. Space Jam, I mentioned that one's coming out. Another thing that's interesting is Chris Pratt. I love Chris Pratt because, first of all, he's a Christian. And I love that guy. He stands up for what he believes. He doesn't back down, but he's just real cool about it. You know what I mean? You like Chris because he's cool.
Yeah.
He did what's called the Tomorrow War, and it debuted, and I think it was on Netflix, and it's, streamer, but it was the #1 streaming movie for the whole weekend that it debuted, and worldwide. So he had a worldwide hit, and they show the power of a star, and it's still streaming, that still does it too. So we're at a very interesting juxtaposition, because I've been reading some articles on filmmakers, and they're like, the old Hollywood style is gone, the old Hollywood way of doing movies is gone. They say that, but I don't think you can say that yet. I think we're just in a weird in-between place, Right. I think we're still seeing movies do well at box office if they're good movies and people want something to go see. I don't discount that, but the streaming is, popular.
I was going to say that because I've seen a few of these films get, promoted, and I noticed that they're saying that's coming out on stream at the same time as theaters. Is this going to affect that theater market quite a bit?
Well, last year Universal broke the oath, so to speak, with movie theaters. It broke around and it went ahead and said, no, we're releasing everything on streaming that we had for theaters. So it already crossed that, shark, it already crossed over. The studios were not happy with them because they did that. But at the same time, you can't blame them. They've got to figure out a way to make money and revenue. And they've got half the people now still worried about COVID. You've got places like Los Angeles that are saying, put your mask back on and, shutting down. We hear about the news trains. So it's not like people feel the freedom to go to a theater. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've been to movie theaters in different states, in the last couple of months. And I've flown on airplanes and I feel safe and I feel fine. I don't worry about that because you're in a movie theater. You're sitting far apart. You're not breathing on someone next to you, really. They're spacing them. So theaters are trying to space people between each other to make it safe. You don't have to sit next to people if you don't want to. So, you know what I mean? I think there's an element of safety there too. Just the experience, you just enjoy the experience. So I don't know, Isaac, it's really interesting right now where we're at. I think with this fall, Top Gun is going to be coming out in November. The James Bond movie Spectre that was supposed to open last spring and Top Gun last summer, they're going to be coming out this fall. Let's see how those do. You know what I mean? Let's see if they do. Because that's a year and a half that the studios, or a year, that the studios have held those over. Purposely, because they want to make sure it's a theater experience. They're not streaming it. They want it to be a theater experience. So those two films are examples of studios that are going, no, we'll just hold out till this is okay. Right.
Well,
and that's why I think
we have 2 minutes left, and I want to just maybe jump a little bit out of the Hollywood scene into the Christian scene. How's that holding up? The Christian movie scene.
From what I'm hearing, and I'm talking to several different Christian filmmakers that are smaller filmmakers, people are working. People are making their films. I mean, in fact, I've heard about more production, especially in Oklahoma, where there's I think 30% return on filmmaking. At Georgia, there's a 33% return on filmmaking. So in those states, I'm hearing about movies that have come both secular and faith-based. I think for faith-based films, the hard part right now is distribution, because it's hard to figure out distribution. However, you and I both know someone that works at Netflix. We know that Netflix is looking for faith-based projects. So I think if someone has a smaller film and they want to see if they can go, that's the way to go. Go to a Netflix and Amazon. Apple is desperately looking for content, although I'm just going to say I don't really like Apple content. I think it's kind of edgy and weird, but Amazon also. So right now there's a real competitiveness for those markets, which is great for smaller filmmakers. Get your movies in there and because they want that, list of films and options.
Where I'm finding a lot of faith-based movies right now too is on Hulu. I mean, I've been watching that a lot because they have a lot of faith-based movies. So you might want to check it out. And of course, I have to say this because they are one of our sponsors here, but 24 Flicks is another good place to go check out.
24 Flicks.
Well, Holly, if people want to just hear more, maybe hear your reviews, find out more of what you're doing, where do they go?
You know, easiest to go is Holly on Hollywood on Facebook. You can email me there. You can contact me there through there. And I usually post my things on there as well as your show and other outlets. Awesome. So I'd be more than happy to respond to people or answer questions and have them just come take a look. Holly on Hollywood on Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I'll just have to have you back again. We really need to do this maybe once a month or so, huh?
Thanks for having me on, Isaac. I've enjoyed it.
You bet. Folks, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Love the classic movies? Well, 24 Flicks has you covered. You can watch some of your favorite movies and TV shows you've known and loved. Watch anytime and anywhere and as many times as you want. Simply go to 24flix.com and start watching now. 24 Flicks is your home for unlimited, family-friendly, on-demand videos.
Meet Will. Will wants to make a movie based in Bible times. No, maybe a Western. Well, maybe an apocalyptic movie. A biblical era apocalyptic Western? That would be so original. But Will needs some sweet sets to bring it to life, and Will is 25,352 miles away from any of those sweet, sweet sets. Or so he thinks. Fortunately for Will, there is a solution. Introducing CAPERNAUM Studios, your ticket to realistic locations and everything else you need to bring your period-accurate story to life. Book a tour today, like Will, who is, yet to leave.
You know they say it's really big.
What's really big?
Noah's Ark, silly.
Oh, I know. It's bigger than the size of our house.
It's a little bigger than that.
Like the size of 2 houses. No 2 houses and a spaceship. I bet it's even bigger than the castle.
Don't be ridiculous. That's impossible.
This summer, think bigger.
Welcome back. If you want to know more about what Holly is doing, the best place to do it is to visit her Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Holly on Hollywood. Facebook.com/Holly on Hollywood. And I also want to invite you to visit my YouTube channel. There you will find a lot of great interviews that I've done in the past. There's probably over 80 or so interviews now. Just go to youtube.com and look for Faith on Film TV. That's Faith on Film TV. And of course, I'd love to hear from you. So just write me a little note at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. And you can always follow me and on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. So until next week, take care.